Boker Tov, everybody. So I'm giving the Devar today because I'll be heading out of town on Friday. So this week's Parsha is Shmini, and certainly a portion I know plenty about. It was my bat mitzvah portion. There is a lot going on in this portion. I want to talk specifically about the law of ritual purity, right? So in Shmini, we're instructed about differentiating between tameh, ritually impure, and tahor, ritually pure, and how to then purify oneself when one has become ritually impure. And it's important to mention the fact that there is not really a sense of shame from becoming ritually impure. It is something that naturally happens in the course of events in your life. It is something that just happens, right? But it's recognizing when that happens and then what to do to go about making oneself then again ritually pure, to purify oneself, to immerse oneself in the mikveh, and to then return to a state of ritual purity and being able to do all the things one can do when one is in that state. And so we are a distinguishing people, right? We distinguish between day and night. We distinguish between holy and mundane. We distinguish between ritually pure and ritually impure. And in terms of what that means to us today, it's not something that everyone pays a close amount of attention to. Certainly among Orthodox Jews, maybe a little bit more, but and immersing oneself in mikveh is something anyone can do. But I just think that it's important to note distinguishing, recognizing when you are in a state that is maybe different from how you would normally be, right? And that's not necessarily, I think for us today, that's not just as it's laid out in the Torah. I think that is a personal thing. Noticing when you're in a different state, and then how do you get back to the state that you want to be in order to engage with other people, in order to engage in the world around you in the same way, to be yourself, right? I think we all have moments where we feel a little bit removed from ourselves. And so it's recognizing those moments and what can we do to then get back to the state that we want to be in. So whether that's in any of the ways that are laid out in the Torah from ritual purity, or whether that's just from a sequence of events, whether that's from what's happening in the world, what's happened in your relationships, I think we can all find those moments and try to recognize them and honor them. And, when we do feel that way, there is a level of importance to it, to recognize that, but then to have that sense of returning to the state that we're meant to be in order to, like I said, in order to engage with the community and making things right in those relationships when we feel out of that state, and just doing good in the world and engaging in a way that makes us then feel good. So whether it's immersing yourself in the mikveh, I think it's a really beautiful mitzvah. It's something that a lot of people find a lot of meaning in. But if you're asking yourself that question and mikveh isn't doing it for you, or if you're not able to do that, what else can you do to get yourself back to that state? Meditation, quiet reflection, immersing yourself in nature. There are a lot of things we can do to reset ourselves into the right state of mind, the right state of spiritual well-being. And I think that's something that we can all further reflect on in light of this week's Parsha.
Okay.